lately. So I got some research what they're doing to head out with impeachment because the news. Let me see. Okay, and we're going there. Alright, here we go.
3 years ago, I was thinking about how to make more passive income online so that I could work from anywhere. I was walking through Times Square in New York City.
Hi everyone, I'm Rena Ninen. Thank you for joining us. After a marathon week of public testimony against the president, it remains unclear if that was the end of hearings. Democrats must now decide how to move forward and how quickly. After hearing several witnesses describe a pressure...
It should be the end of hearings. Literally, they could do no evidence. Literally. They should just be ashamed of themselves and frickin' drop everything.
Campaign aimed at getting Ukraine to investigate the president's political rival, Joe Biden. The president, however, says it's all a sham.
Never happened.
And that he has done nothing wrong. Meanwhile, there have been several...
And yes, that is true.
Fast-moving developments related to the inquiry. An associate of Rudy Giuliani's is reportedly willing to testify that Republican Congressman Devin Nunes met with Ukraine's former prosecutor in an effort to get dirt on Joe Biden. Nunes denies the claim, and new documents released from the State Department overnight through the Freedom of Information Act appear to further tie Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to President Trump's personal attorney Rudy Giuliani and show contacts between the two men in the lead-up to the removal of Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch. The president this weekend has...
See what they're doing? They're using other people to impeach Trump. Literally, other people who have worked with Trump, but don't even work with him anymore, except him. Now they're trying him. And if you looked before, when all that time where we were getting supposed people who frickin' did stuff with Trump to get it, to get information, all these lies, that frickin' stuff never happened.
No public events on his schedule, but has tweeted his displeasure with the inquiry. He wrote, quote, Adam Schiff will be compelled to testify should the Democrats decide, despite the fact that my presidential conversations were totally appropriate, perfect, to go forward with the impeachment hoax. Polls have now turned very strong against impeachment. For more, I want to bring in Paula Reed, Sean Sullivan, and Jessica Levinson. Paula is a CBS News White House correspondent. Sean's a CBSN political contributor and national politics reporter for the Washington Post. And Jessica is a professor at Loyola Law School. So, Jessica, I want to start with you. You know, with these new developments, we have Congressman Nunes has been one of the president's strongest supporters during this inquiry. He was right there during those public testimonies. What do we make of this reporting that he suggests that he himself tried to also get dirt on Joe Biden?
Well, I think what we make of it is that it's deeply ironic that he has complained about the lack of transparency in this process. And here's something that I think would be incredibly useful for the American public to know. If you look at Representative Nunes, what he's been arguing and what he allegedly has been involved in, I think that at the very least, this is something that should have been disclosed before he took part in the impeachment inquiry. And at most, frankly, he should have recused himself. This is something where it sounds like he has a direct conflict of interest. But it's the type of thing where if you look at the purpose behind disclosure, it's to give the public information to evaluate the credibility of either a proceeding or a person. This goes to the heart of that necessity.
I want to turn now to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. The State Department was forced to release new documents because of an ethics watchdog group. It's called American Oversight. And overnight, they had a court order. They were required to turn these over because of the Freedom of Information Act. So the group says that these documents reveal a clear paper trail from Rudy Giuliani to the Oval Office to Secretary Pompeo to facilitate Giuliani's smear campaign.
You see what they're doing? They're literally connecting, they're trying to connect other people's problems to Trump, since they've worked with him. And most of these people don't even work for him anymore. Like I was saying earlier, most of these people they tried connecting to Trump don't even work for him anymore. And now they're getting the idea to get people who work for Trump now. That's a smart idea, but it's not necessarily true.
Against U.S. Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch. These are the words of the executive director of this group. At this point, Sean, how does this implicate Pompeo?
Well, right now, when you look at Secretary Pompeo, there's a couple things that you have to consider. One is, where does he fit into this impeachment process as it moves forward? We're seeing both from these documents that you mentioned and from testimony that there are allegations that he is potentially closer to the situation regarding Ukraine than might have previously been known. The other thing to keep in mind right now is that Secretary Pompeo is under a lot of pressure from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and his allies to run for the Senate, to leave his post at some point as Secretary of State, return to Kansas, which is his home state, and run for a really, really crucial Kansas Senate seat, which he is still right now considering actively.
And the president publicly voiced support for this yesterday on Fox and Friends.
Yeah, and so what you have to look at is, number one, how will this affect his thinking about potentially doing that? We don't know that yet. Is this something, are these revelations things that potentially Democrats or even Republican rivals could use against him if he runs? Is this the type of thing that would make him more or less likely to want to leave his post? So this just opens up a box of more questions, not just about the impeachment process, but really about the political and professional future of the president's top diplomat.
Sean, the sense was, once these public hearings had ended on Thursday, that the House was going to move forward to deciding these articles of impeachment. Do you think that delays that at this point? Do you think that they want to potentially hold more hearings on this, or do you think they have enough?
No, they don't. They want to impeach. Impeach, impeach, impeach. But what happens? Nothing. Literally, there's no evidence, no dirt, nothing on him. He's freaking clean, and he's working for the American people. They hate that he won the 2016 election against Hillary, and literally, they're still upset because they can't do their little communist plan. Literally, grow up and freaking run the freaking government. You shouldn't worry about the president, because Congress, you guys are freaking higher than the president, so don't freaking worry about it. Just do whatever you're doing in Congress. Leave the president alone. Oh yeah, I forgot. The president's the only one who can stop you guys and expose you for what you are. So yeah, not exactly good, Democrats. I'm not talking to you people who are listening, just to let you know.
You hearing from folks on Capitol Hill?
Well, we don't know right now exactly how they are going to move forward. What we do know is that this is sort of the end of the hearings and the testimony that had formally been announced, that we knew was coming in the last few days. And certainly it has been an extraordinary few days on Capitol Hill with the testimony that we've seen. The question now for House Democratic leaders is, do they want to bring more witnesses? Do they want to hold more hearings? Or should they move the process forward, and should the process now move to the House Judiciary Committee, which is who would have jurisdiction over actually filing and drafting articles?
I think they should do that, because literally they're going to lose, because we got enough people to stop it. So that works out. Most of the freaking Supreme Court is pretty far left, but if we go there, we could have an actual fair trial, and that's what they're trying to avoid. You should have looked earlier this week. They were saying, basically, we don't want to go to. Nancy Pelosi said it herself. She doesn't want to go to the court because she's actually thinking he won't get impeached there, because they have to abide by the law, and the Democrats get out of jail free cards. So yeah, not exactly good.
vehicles of impeachment. But what Democrats are looking right now is not just the legal case itself that they're trying to present, but they're also trying to make a larger case to the American people to justify why they have been doing this. They are careful, they have been saying, to not make this look like an overtly political exercise, and they have to convince the American people that that's what they're doing. So if they feel like they've done that, then I think we'll see them move forward. If they don't feel like they've done that, then we might see more of these witnesses come forward.
Paul, we know the president has been meeting with several Senate Republicans as this trial has been unfolding. How is it going as far as support goes? How does the White House feel about that with Republicans?
Well, they're concerned enough that this week they invited a group of Republican lawmakers here to the White House to talk about how they may be able to shift this process in a way that could be more favorable to the president. While the president has tried to put a positive spin on this week's events and insists that he wants a trial, White House officials tell me they do expect that he will likely be impeached in the House. That means there'll be a Senate trial, but they don't know exactly what that will look like. So they're trying to come up with ideas in a way that they could possibly shift this trial's focus to the Bidens, to Adam Schiff, to anyone but President Trump.
That's what should be done. These freaking Democrats, these freaking people who break the law in our government, should be put in prison. Literally for treason, because that is what they're doing, is treason. And actually, under the Constitution, treason is punishable by death. So they should really think better about treason. Of course, they're not going to get it because they have a caseload of people that can get them out of jail before they can even be killed for treason. That's the thing. The Constitution says that. So we should actually do this to these Democrats. I'm not one for killing, but literally, that's what the Constitution says. We should abide by the Constitution. But what happens? No, we never abide by the Constitution. The liberals don't. The Democrats don't. They ignore the Constitution. They don't even teach it in our schools. The full Constitution. And that's the thing I think they should do. They should have a full Constitution class. Or do Hillsdale College online. Literally do that and have the freaking entire Congress class taught on there. That's what I think they should do. But they don't want to do that. They want to brainwash our kids. So, most of these liberals are just believing what the media says because in schools they're told to believe what the media says, basically. That's what they're taught in current events. And that's not good. So, think better, Democrats, because you should actually have it worse than you do now. So think better of that.
Jessica, the fact that we know we've got this new reporting about Nunes potentially this associate close to Rudy Giuliani, who's under pressure with the law, potentially the lawyer saying he's willing to talk about this connection with Nunes going to Europe to get dirt on Biden. How concerned should Nunes be about this?
Well, I mean, the true answer is we don't know. So we don't know if he was just on a political mission, if he was essentially trying to carry water for someone else, or if he actually engaged in some sort of wrongdoing. What type of wrongdoing would we talk about here? We could think about federal election laws, where if he's trying to ask for a thing of value for a political campaign, that would violate campaign finance laws. We could also look at honest services laws. There's a number
which she's never done.
Of different statutes that we could look at that go beyond the kind of bucket of misuse of power. So how much trouble is he in? I think we should always be circumspect before we actually hear the testimony to determine what exactly his legal exposure could be. We do know
you should do that, but you Democrats don't want it. See, you want to see him go down in flames because he's your arch enemy. He's your worst nightmare, freaking liberals and Democrats. That's why you have to think smarter, liberals. Actually, think better on leaders. You don't want to have treasonous freaking leaders out in the government. running our country. You do not want that. It's treason to freaking do all this. So, yeah.
You can indict a sitting congressman, even if you can't indict a sitting president.
And based on the testimony we've heard this week, what do you think the charges are that the House could draft up?
So I think there's going to be two different buckets of charges. So I think the first will be on the substantive crimes. So you'll see charges based on, as I mentioned, campaign finance laws, election laws. You could see charges based on bribery or extortion. And then there'll be a second bucket of charges that are basically impeaching based on thwarting the impeachment, by which I mean, telling people not to comply with subpoenas, witness intimidation. So those would fall within a kind of second door of obstruction of justice type charges, and I think that the House ultimately will decide to go with both of those big categories.
Paul, we know that
Nope, they can't, because he's done none of that. Literally, they're idiots.
Security Advisor John Bolton was able to get his Twitter account back, and he said on Twitter that he was re-engaged. And not that he was re-engaged with Twitter, but when it comes to actually being on Bolton's side of the story, is there any movement going forward? Where are we? Do we expect to hear from him more?
Well, I think that we should hear from him more. So if you look at the witnesses who testified, who came forward and said, it's not only my legal obligation, but it's my moral obligation. If you listen to what they said about John Bolton increasingly being a key player in that story, it would be important to hear from him. Now, there's some ongoing lawsuits that essentially ask judges to determine if the executive, meaning the president, tells you not to comply with a subpoena, but Congress issues a subpoena. What should you do? I think John Bolton, there's a case that's going to be coming out Monday afternoon. I think he'll be looking at that case. But it is better to tell your story under oath to the appropriate congressional committee as opposed to using social media to do so.
Well, literally, you guys won't even do stuff under oath. You freaking liberals and the Dems do not want to do this. That's why you liberals have to think better. Would you want treasonous leaders that if they impeach both Mike Pence, if they go down the line, the whole entire line to get President Trump out and get into office, what is that going to do? It's literally just going to cause chaos. We're going to go into another civil war, which isn't exactly good.
Paul, I want to get you to weigh in as well.
Well, as she just said, they're waiting for a case on Monday, which will likely decide whether we will hear from the former National Security Advisor. His attorney has teased that his client has details that so far have not been revealed. So even though Adam Schiff has said he doesn't want to hold up.
No, he hasn't. He doesn't have any details, because there's nothing.
All the proceedings to hold more hearings, he may make an exception for this specific witness.
All right, Paula Reed, Jessica Levinson, and Sean Sullivan, I want to thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stupid Democrats. Oh, there we go. So you see, the Democrats are getting more and more dirty. Their treasonous ways need to stop. Those are my thoughts. What's your thoughts? Leave them down in the comments. Also, please like, share, subscribe. Help me grow this channel. So share this video and tell people about this channel so that we can grow more and more patriots on this channel, because we need you guys. So, just basically get more people to subscribe and actually like these videos and actually grow our patriots more and more, because that's what we need, is more and more patriots on this channel. So, and then click that bell beside the subscribe button, click all, and you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you, and see you out there, patriots. This is Brad McDonald signing off.